Waiting on Bob. No, I'll go see that. Good morning. I am, as always, David Schaeffer, and I welcome you here today. Weather's finally starting to change, isn't it? Yeah, yay. Yay. I actually had a little thing on my deck last night. It was very pleasant. So, anyway, today's welcome, something Bobbi found online from Tara Humphreys, and I thought she was kind of interesting in that her church in Natick, Mass. is the Elliott Church. Has anyone heard of the Elliott Church? The Elliott Church is affiliated with the UUA and the UCC, United Church of Christ, which shows how tight we are with a lot of their teachings and beliefs. I find that interesting. I'm going to do a little more research into that church. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. This was originally a chalice lighting, so I'm going to omit the last line which says, "And this chalice is lit for you." Whether you're from the south, the east, the north, or the west, whether you were born into this faith, found it, or it found you, whether you feel at home or are still trying to find your place, whether you believe in God, are open to mystery, or still have no idea, whether you're unemployed, underemployed, cobbling things together, overworking, or in school or employed, whether you are holding anxiety, grief, confusion, anger, hope, restlessness, or deep peace, Unitarian Universalism has a place for you. It is right here. Welcome. And chalice lighting with Bobbi Schaeffer.
Amidst the paperwork and the preparation, amidst the emails and the emotions, amidst the getting it done and the pressure of time, can we find a little space for lifting up our heads in wonder that we are still here, still striving, still trying together? Can we find hearts accepting of all the complexity, space for falling a little bit in love with this faith again, with its tenacity, its capacity, even its audacity? Space to hold what we still believe is possible without hiding it behind disclaimers that attempt to shield our hope from cynical critique. Can we enter this workspace with the felt sense of our deepest values and the ways we can liberate them to humanize the processes and forms of our decisions and actions, our structures and governance? We light our chalice in hope that we center love and relationship, creativity and community as we meet, in hope that we can invite into our own hearts and into this space between us so much obvious respect and spacious grace that no matter what happens here, we emerge connected.
And now, Aaron will do the story for all ages.
She has an announcement. She's going to leave after the kids.
Can I do an announcement? announcement real fast?
Sure.
It's youth related, so the kids can come. Sorry, I'll be gone for the announcement.
Well, she won't be gone, she'll just be an RE.
Okay, so I'm making an announcement about RE. We're doing a lot, we're doing popcorn theology, the kids are playing Magic the Gathering, and we're also working on transitioning from promises to principles. And so we're gonna be doing artwork for each principal for the room. And if you have any, especially news-based magazines that you need to get rid of or recycle, we'd love to have those for the youth. And also, I have a sign-up sheet for the youth program. I will not be here the 9th, so I need 2 people that day. Otherwise, I'll be here and you can assist, or if you're artsy, sign up for art. If you like to play games, there's Magic the Gathering. If you like movies, the movies are specified on the date. So choose what you will. And if you'd give it to, or just put it on the back table or give it to Skylar, because I'm tapping Skylar.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you. And welcome.
It's like that one scene
Let's
in Figure
try it
6.
again.
It's like that one scene in Figure 6.
It is. Is this better? Okay. Welcome, boys and girls. The story for all ages today is on my iPad, so that's fun. It was a book. I'm just going to hold this down here. Trying, testing. Is this better? Okay, good. It is a trial and work in progress. So our story for all ages today is, you are a beautiful beginning. It is not the number of pages. It is the story in the book. It is not how far you traveled. It is the journey that you took. It is not remembering the lyrics. It is singing a song in your heart. You know, that way everybody else can see too. Thank you, Jason. It is not creating a masterpiece. It is finding the courage to start. It is not knowing all the answers. It is listening to what others say. It is not about winning the game. It is having fun while you play. That's important. It is not making the most friends. It is loving the one who is there. That's okay. It is not owning everything. It is bringing something to share. It is not being a hero. It is being part of a team. It is not putting up walls. It is about building a dream. Ooh, look at this one. It is not hogging the sunshine. It is helping others to grow. And I think this is my favorite picture. It is not being afraid of darkness. It is looking for places that glow. It is not wishing to be different. It is learning to love being you. It is not the end of your story. It is a beautiful beginning too. The end. Now, let's see. Jacob, would you take the lantern and lead us out? Thank you so much.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you. everywhere, everywhere you may go. I like that story. That was a good one. Okay, so joys and concerns. I'm going to start with concerns today because we have some pretty sad news. Marissa Manel, who you may remember would sit in the corner with her son because he was quite a handful, died this week. Just found out this morning. I have no details, but she was pretty unhappy with her situation. She was 29 and scholastically pretty accomplished, and I think in grad school. And whatever happened, it's exceedingly sad and loss to all of us over the long haul. The other thing I have, and thanks to Walt for this information, John Medcat, well, there was more. Her family expresses their thanks to us for all the support we've given her in the past, and has concerns and hopes for her son, Ryan, who just entered kindergarten. John Metcalf injured his knee, and if there's anyone who can help him mow his lawn one more time, I think that ought to do it for this season. Get a hold of either John or Walt and take care of that. Any joys out there? I could use a joy if anybody's got one. Okay, here we go. Step right up.
I had quite a joy yesterday. I had a big moment of truth with Howard Chong, who was formerly a faculty member at Cornell, was in a Buddhist monastery for a couple of years. He's involved with helping kids repair bicycles at the Central Park Community Center. And we were talking about our crisis intervention team, and I appreciate the fact that I've kind of arrived at the conclusion that everything I've said about the crisis intervention team is fluff until we talk about housing for people. And I appreciate having that as a goal.
Thank you.
Sorry, back to concerns for a moment. Just found out this week that a longtime member of the Sunday morning book group and kind of a longtime friend of the fellowship, Dottie Hanger, has entered hospice. I don't know any details other than she lives at Brewster, and last week I think went in the hospital, and when she came back out, they put her in hospice. So that's all I know. So.
Very fondly remember Dottie.
So, thank you.
Anyone else with a joy or concern? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move to announcements. First, we have the birthday twins, Bill Griffith and Deb Bledsoe. Bill's birthday is on the 28th and Deb's is on the 29th. Happy birthday. Erin, who just left us, her birthday is also the 29th. Okay. And Trey Morgan, who is a friend and has been here many times. And I ran into his mother this past week, which was kind of cool. We're old friends. His birthday is on the 1st of October. Any other announcements? No, I think we're good. Oh, okay. If you snooze, you lose.
I was waiting for Raymond to come up. You had a birthday.
Well, how did that not show up? Happy birthday, Raymond. 29 or 49? I can't remember. One of those. Whatever. Who was it who kept saying his birthday was 49? What?
39, Jack Benny.
Jack Benny, 39. Yeah. He died at 39, by the way. Yeah. Okay. So, ushers, greening the basket. Thank you.
From you I
Receive to you I give, together we share, and by this we live.
From you I receive, to you I give, together
We share, and by this we live. Well, on that note, I'm going to turn the program over to Bobbi and state you won't have David to kick around anymore, to coin a phrase.
Change, the tipping point. Where have we come from? Where are we now? Where do we want to be in the future? Have we reached the tipping point? Change has always been a part of fellowship. And now Vicki will educate you on the past at UUFT and the significant changes we have implemented that have moved us forward to where we are now.
Heretics, dissenters, those willing to go against the grain, to stand against the prevailing culture. That was the history of our Unitarian and Universalist predecessors. As early as 325 at the Nicene Council, there were outliers that we now claim, those that voted against the dogma of the Trinity. By the way, how many of you grew up having to say the Trinity? Oh, get your hands up. Come on so we can see them. Yeah, I have no idea how it even goes, being in church. These heretics were among those that were eventually persecuted and sometimes killed for centuries later because their views were contrary to the state religion of Christianity. The burning at the stake of Michael Servetus in 1553, author of The Errors of the Trinity, was a turning point for killing people for their religious beliefs in Europe. Eventually, the dissenters were able to form churches in Europe, many coming to America and some becoming early founders of this country. By the 1880s, Unitarianism came to Topeka with these themes. First of all, there was reaction to other influences in the broader culture, such as the attacks on the science of evolution and religious freedom. In the 20th century, there were movements for the rights of Black Americans, women, and LGBTQ people, and the push to recognize other world religions. Larger forces, such as the Depression of the 30s and the recession, hurt us economically. And then the pandemic, which hit all religious groups. Bless the volunteers that stepped up here to make sure there were programs on Sunday morning, information on our website. The empty building was protected and we were all kept safe. Secondly, physical presence has always been important to the vitality and growth of this faith in Topeka. It was important in 1885 when the building was built at 10th and Topeka, and when this property was purchased in 1968, with subsequent expansions in 1984 and 2009. To quote the movie, if you build it, they will come, and they always did. But buildings aren't the only story. The presence of staff has also been important. From the 1880s onward, the presence of ministers and other religious professionals has ensured Topeka knew our values and our members were served. During the decades after the Depression, members and the church struggled with financial hardship, and the church eventually lost ministerial leadership. The result was members merging with the First Congregational Church, and the building was sold in 1944. This is what happens when you lose your presence, either physical or ministerial. During the 50s, the American Unitarian Association launched its fellowship program, providing sources of material, but not funds nor staff, to communities expressing interest. Well, during the 1950s, some people in Topeka attempted to start a Unitarian group. Viability was always a problem. It isn't until 1961, concurrently with the merger of the Unitarian Universalist Associations, that the standard was planted again in Topeka, with 32 people signing the book. Where are we now? We have the important physical presence, and thanks to Bobbi's leadership and Joe's work, our physical asset is being spruced up and protected. But what about some of the intangible issues still with us? Our formational roots from the fellowship movement built an identity characterized as highly individualistic, highly humanistic, and anti-authoritarian. That plus the drop in membership and our last ministers leaving leaves us being stuck between a family-sized and a pastoral-sized church. And even before the pandemic and Reverend Sarah leaving, there was the push-pull of Sunday morning services. What should the focus be? Intellectual, spiritual, social justice, humanism. And if we are able to obtain ministerial support, there will be the push-pull of clergy versus lay leadership. It ain't easy trying to lead a UU group in the best of times. It's like trying to lead a bunch of cats. Why is a UU presence important? Think of everything facing us as a congregation and country. Religious freedom. Always supported by UUs, but right-wing Christianity would like to prevent that right now, especially in the schools. Think about the attacks on science, comprehensive sex education, and America's history of racism. And believe me, underneath all that is the desire to return to some sort of a theocracy. UUs have supported LGBTQ people long before other religious bodies, and although gay marriage has found broad but not absolute acceptance, our trans brothers and sisters are being attacked because they're easy targets. While we have our heroes from the civil rights struggle of the 1960s, we have struggled with racial diversity and support for our brothers and sisters that identify as people of color. Increasing secularization associated with development countries has even affected America, as more and more people don't belong to religious communities, which means that more and more people are not connected to faith communities for support. And think, I can't imagine where Don and I would have been if we hadn't had the support of our Sioux City UU Church as we went through my mother's death, our infertility, and adoption of David. And this group through the multiple surgeries and illnesses I have had. And of course, Don trying to fly off of the roof and breaking 10 ribs on one side. And the big elephant in the room, climate change, consumerism, all that will bring increased migration. How will we meet that challenge? I believe in Unitarian Universalism, and it's important in addressing these issues. I believe in this faith. I have a car tag that says Forever UU. And I believe there are people outside of UUFT that could benefit from this faith. Beth has often called this faith life-saving. She's seen it among young LGBTQ youth. And I also believe there are people out there that can enhance my life and our lives by joining us. Are we up to being heretics again?
Thank you, Vicki. With that history in mind, we are now going forward and building on the past. You may have noticed, in fact, I hope you have noticed, all the changes going on here at UUFT. We are making a big effort to be better stewards of our building and grounds. We all enjoy walking into a clean, organized, and beautiful building in which we conduct our programs, celebrate our fellowship, and immerse our kids in religious exploration. We, as a congregation, are getting involved and giving our time and talent on second Saturday work days. These began in August and have continued. Please join us if you have been unable to be present in August and September. There is more work to be done. And October, it will be the third Saturday instead of the second Saturday, since Joe will be absent on the second Saturday. We are working toward marketing our space. And the reason for this, it will enable us with that income from rentals to financially assist in supporting the upkeep and maintenance of our buildings and grounds. We came back into the building post-lockdown and began looking at fellowship with an eye to update not just our buildings and grounds, but to begin the process of hiring a minister to fulfill the wishes of a congregation expressed in a vote that took place over a year ago. It is a significant challenge as there are more congregations in search of a minister than there are ministers searching for congregations to serve. This search has brought up the need, perhaps long overdue, to take a hard look at how we manage our buildings and grounds and spend and invest our money. An ad hoc finance and investment committee was approved by the board to take a look at this issue. We have paid off our mortgage. Yay! Now let us prepare a plan to spend our pledge income and other income wisely. Kudos to Carolyn Ward, who has been sourcing many of the furnishing upgrades that you're seeing around Fellowship. She gets on Craigslist and the boards across eastern Kansas and finds the things we need at minimal or no cost. The board is prioritizing the roof repairs and safety concerns at this time. That's why you see cordless blinds throughout Fellowship now. And we took advantage of the fact that we needed to do this, to do it in a way that it is helping with our energy use and cost. And Carolyn was able to use her connections in interior design, et cetera, to help us with this because she used her discount. In addition to being safer, we have opted to stay with the color palette determined by when the addition and expansion of the building occurred. And the reason for this is we don't want to go there to what colors people want to see on the walls. Let's just stay with what we're used to. That's a change we don't want to make. However, we will be mending walls, as you can see, and applying fresh paint in the chosen palette. We are forever in debt and grateful for the consistent and ongoing efforts of Joe Silsby regarding our building and grounds. He is the chair and currently the sole member of the Building and Grounds Committee. We need members to step up and volunteer for this committee to support Joe and enable us as a congregation to accomplish more. Remember, we are lay-led. And you have the opportunity to do this on the upcoming third Saturday workday. We depend on each other to achieve our goals. If you have a concern about what you see occurring around Fellowship, please call a board member to express your feelings. We need to all work together for our long-range plan to be successful. Calling up your nearest and dearest to complain about what's going on will not help. But expressing your concerns to a board member who will listen to them and route them to the appropriate party for consideration will help. And we will all be able to benefit from your concern and ideas. If you have artwork that you think would enhance our walls and wish to donate or loan it, again, contact a board member. The same goes for furnishings that you feel would be attractive and enhance our space. Don't just drop it off. Consult with the board. One idea, we would like to see local artists exhibiting in our space. If you have an artistic talent or an organizational skill, consider being the curator of art shows here at Fellowship. If we support local artists in this way, we may be able to establish ourselves and be the beneficiary of a percentage of their sales while they are exhibiting in our space. We could even have opening events with wine, cheese, hors d'oeuvres, which would be most enjoyable to us all. Let's all get our heads together and think outside of the box. What would we like to see taking place in our spaces? It could be bringing back old favorites from the past or envisioning new ones. Let's have fun fundraisers like the haunted house that Jean Ryan and Lori Yockers are gearing up for, utilizing the youth house on October 29th from 5 to 9 p.m. Let's get involved by planning and doing events as well as participating. As part of the plan changes, Kent Forrester will now be introducing the suggested bylaws changes to be voted on in December at a biannual congregational meeting. Kent, you want to fill us in on those changes?
Thanks, Bobby, and thank you, Vicki, for your history. Good morning, everyone. I was born and raised as a Unitarian in the Berkshires of Massachusetts, and have been blessed to be in and out of this beloved UUFT community for more than 4 decades. Being a strong advocate of democratic processes and the rule of law, I was happy to help this community with its bylaws back in the day, and was asked again to help again earlier this year. The bylaw changes will be voted on December 4th, 2022, at our annual business meeting in December. So that's the first Sunday of December, December 4th, 2022. Now, the committee sincerely appreciates all the help from Mary Galligan and numerous others. This document was reviewed by the UUFT board in September. All mistakes fall upon me, your ad hoc chair, Kent Forster, and kudos go to the committee members, Carolyn Ward and Susan Loy, the board, and the numerous people who were willing to help us with it. So what did the ad hoc bylaws and policy procedure committees do? Well, our goals were rather straightforward. It was to simplify and streamline and update both the bylaws and the policies and procedures. First part is the bylaws. So today I want to walk you through some of the proposed changes for the UUFT bylaws, which provide the governing structure while the policies and procedures handle the day-to-day operations. The governing structure is the responsibility of this fellowship, while the policies and procedures to handle UUFT day-to-day operations is the purview of the board that you elect. So here are the summary of the substantive changes that we're recommending to you for consideration. We streamlined the vision and mission and the language throughout the document, just taking minor tweaks to what was already great work that was done just a couple of years ago. We are recommending that the number of trustees for this institution be changed from 5 to an optional 3 or 5 trustees to give future boards the flexibility of on the size of this organization, of the board. We've updated the removal, withdrawal, or termination of membership. That's a cumbersome process, and we wanted to streamline it and improve it a little. So we've changed the process a little there and given more precise description of who's responsible for what. We've added language to authorize virtual and hybrid meetings. This is sort of kind of ironic, we've been running full tilt on Zoom now for so long that we've zoomed ourselves almost off the planet. So we actually now have added the language that authorizes such things. We've also added the ability to formally and officially do proxy or electronic voting so that people can just vote electronically. We've also updated the standing committee structure, trying to create a little more clear authority and responsibility within the standing committee structures that we've had over the years. And this, again, is an attempt to try to bridge the gap between lay-led as well as ministerial-led. We need to have a structure that can serve both easily and straightforwardly. So we've made some suggestions there. We've also updated and changed the ministerial duties to simply put that in the contract. You no longer have to worry about that in the bylaws and have to come back to you every time we make a different change. That should be in the contract that the board that you elect should work with the ministry and the cabin. And that should take some of the cumbersome processes out, just clear that out of the way, so make it simpler and more straightforward. We are also recommending that we reduce the ministerial committee members from 7 to 5. That is an impossible job in the first place, as we just learned this morning, how we're competing with other communities to get a minister. And there was a strong sense that we ought to reduce the size of that committee to make it easier for everyone. We've also suggested, now that we're in the digital world, that bylaw amendment notices be reduced from 3 to 2 weeks. Now that's thought that would make things a little more straightforward. We also did the same thing with fellowship business meeting notices and changed that from 3 weeks to 10 days. Again, with all the digital world we're in now, it seemed a little more straightforward just to streamline that process as well. Now, the ad hoc committee is finalizing all these changes right now with the final review of the board in October. The board will have final review of it in October. And then the process will be, we'll have copies of the markup of the bylaws will be available at the end of October or early November. Boo, who are you? We'll do something right after the Halloween holidays. Now, November, you'll be able to vote. Now, you'll be able to vote on this in December 4th. Any questions about these proposed changes, feel free to reach out to any of us on the committee, Kent Forster, Karen Ward, Susan Loy, or your favorite board member. Again, this is an open process, and we're looking forward to working with you to make it a quality product that all of us can vote for in December. Yes?
Are you keeping track of the hours that you're spending on this?
No.
Thank you. Just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? And again, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Again, the process is you'll get the paperwork in November, and we'll vote on it in December. But just stay tuned, and thank you for your help.
Thank you, Kent. We appreciate your efforts. I just want to let you all know that the Ad Hoc Committee on Bylaws, Policies, and Procedures is just one of, I believe, now 6 ad hoc committees that are addressing individual needs that we have to address to move forward with a fellowship that functions well and provides the community we all want to see. So now David's going to take over to moderate dialogue. You all have your say now.
Supposedly. Okay, so we had 3 speakers today. So there's quite a bit there that you might want to comment about. Other questions? Come on up. And remember that we are online, live, and forever on Facebook, on YouTube.
Bobby, you mentioned that our mortgage has been paid off. I remember it was 15 years ago when we made the decision to add on. It's gone by fast, and what a relief.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's hard for me to get a handle on the fact that we added that so long ago. And it's just strange. I remember being in the building as it was coming. We had a party where we were all cheering. And the sticks were up, and we went in and wrote our names on the beams. And it seems like yesterday, and yet it was a long time ago. Anyone else? questions, comments? What are your dreams for UUFT that maybe you don't see us going in the right direction? If I start acting weird, it's only because there's lights flashing in my eyes. Just hang on here. Anyone? Skylar?
Well, I just wanted to say how much I've appreciated when we first started coming back to UFT. The RE program was it looked nothing like it did when I was part of the RE program. And it has slowly but surely, with Erin's help and with Cynthia's help and all of our lovely volunteers, it has become more and more robust with each month. And I volunteered last week with the youth, and we've got some smart kiddos, and I'm just really appreciative of UUFT as a whole in supporting our RE efforts. So thank you.
Thank you, Sky. Would anybody who isn't related to me like to get up here and talk? It just occurred to me. Linda, come on down. I like that t-shirt. Coffee, books, and social justice. That's us in a nutshell, isn't it?
Make sure you get real close to the mic.
Okay. First of all, I heard that Skylar was absolutely wonderful in the youth group, and second, three things. I wish we had more young people. Becky, thank you for coming, and Skylar, our new president, next president-elect. And then I'm on the Minister's Search Committee, and the question keeps coming up, Carolyn, how are we going to pay for this? I think we're decided probably a minimum of $100,000. So I would kind of like to know what everybody's ideas are. It keeps coming up. Are our efforts going to pay off? What's really going to happen?
Well, for one thing, I can comment on what I noticed going on around me is that because of the ad hoc committee on finance, we're becoming a lot more aware of the reality of our situation and where we can tighten things up and where we can't. We definitely need a new revenue stream, which is why we're talking about renting out parts of the building. This came up, by the way, I was on the building committee, and I was part of the group that recommended that we try to find someone or some organization like a school to rent our school wing during the week. Unfortunately, we had a legal issue with that, in that you had to put in a sprinkler system in order to be legal. And then lately, and I'm not sure how long ago this came in, certain age classes have to have direct exit out of the building from the classroom. So there's two good reasons. We did not put in the sprinkler system, and I wish we had, because there's other things we could do with that. But at any rate, retrofitting it might work at some point. But that's one of the reasons we're trying to figure out ways to get other revenue streams. Other questions, concerns? No? Okay. Vicki, did you have something?
Never give up. The temptation is too great. I just want to say that, again, I believe in this faith. I do. And we want more young people. One of the things that, and Bob, you and I both quote Judith Walker Riggs. And one of the things that she said that I remember is, if somebody comes and if they haven't made 3 friends in the first 6 months, they won't stay. And how siloed we have become in our own groups. So are we willing to be and buy into radical hospitality? Radical hospitality, which means that sometimes we also change. Not only do the people that come, find maybe they change some, we also have to be willing to change ourselves too. So, and I just think that, there's some big things. I know Raymond's very concerned about climate change. We're concerned about consumerism. This faith is trying to address some of those things. It's worth saving, guys. So.
Good point, Vicki. The future of this place is somewhat in our hands, but not really. It's in the hands of the young families who might come here in the next 5 years. And that's what we should be striving for. We're in a semi-academic environment with Washburn just down the road. I'm just surprised that we don't get more people from that environment to come through our doors. So the board is open to suggestions on how we might do that and how we might get Washburn students to come on a Sunday. I'm sure a bunch of them feel the way we do about things. So we're open to, the board is open to suggestions and people who are willing to do stuff towards our goal. Anybody else? On that note, I'll turn it back to Bobbi.
And there's a little heads up on the youth aspect. We do have a volunteer who has agreed to mentor the college age and just beyond group. That's Robin Hansen. And we also have a number of people who were raised here at UU who are interested in coming back. So it's imperative that we create an environment where they feel welcome and nurtured. And we're hoping to come up with some ideas with Robin that we can bring them in as a group and they can support each other and they can help move this fellowship forward. And being no one else wants to have input, if you have something you want to say later, be sure and seek out a board member and give them your concerns. One thing to remember is that the Ministerial Search Committee is currently made up of 7 members. It was very difficult to come up with 7 members willing to serve what can be a 9-month or longer process. And that is one of the reasons that the bylaws are changing that to 5. The way that the UUA would like to see us have it in our bylaws is that a group of 3 appointed by the board would serve in this capacity. We feel that it's really important that the congregation be instrumental in moving in a ministerial search process. So the 7 members are still our search committee. The bylaws, when voted on, will not take effect to impact what they're doing now. And it is up to us to look at our spending now and to look at what we can give so that we can hire the minister that they find for us who will serve our community. We extinguish this chalice as we go forth to do the work of stewardship. We will continue to celebrate our community. We will support each other as we strive to do the hard work of growing our fellowship and widening and deepening the diversity of our congregation. Let us continue to work together to meet the needs of those gathered here. Go in peace until we meet again. An announcement. RE program requires that we not go get kids or interrupt their process until 11:45. So enjoy coffee and conversation at 11:45. You're welcome to come back and retrieve kids and participate in that.
Don't interrupt them. Don't interrupt the children.
Yes, don't interrupt the children. They're doing work.
Hey, quick announcement before everybody disperses. We heard from Sue Rothschild that we are going to have our family who's making food out here. They are going to have, next Sunday, they're going to have delivery orders available. So if you would like to order a dozen tamales for $20, they have chicken or pork. And then they have the pupusas, 4 for $10. And it's bean and cheese or chicharrones and cheese. So please let Sue Rothschild know.